What's up YouTube and welcome to a new video. Now the Audi R8 V10 might just be the best bang for buck supercar you can buy. But does this also go for the latest generation? After all, in this video over here which I made 1 year ago, I showed you that the depreciation curve is quite steep. However, more recently, we have also seen that used car values have been extremely strong. In this video I will show you if this also goes for the Audi R8 V10 market, as I will show you exactly how much values changed in the last year. And this will be a data-driven video, so be prepared to crunch some numbers. Let's start with the warm-up and have a look at the current market. In total, there are 199 cars for sale and the base model is the most popular, followed by the performance and the plus model. The median price sits at $170,000, but depends of course a lot on the model year and the trim level. Compared to the base model, the Plus is $8,000 more expensive and the Performance is $58,000 more expensive. And this last difference is so large because the Performance model was only introduced in 2020 and it replaced the Plus model. Furthermore, it might be interesting to share that 60% of the market is made up out of coupes and the remainder out of the spyders. Alright, those descriptive statistics are nice, but that's probably not what you're here for. You want to know how much prices changed over the last year. Let's look into that now, but before we do so I would like to ask you to support the channel by smashing that like button. Now then, let's look into the price increase or decrease. And we will do this first for the base model and then for the Plus and Performance models. For both we start with a high level overview and then drill down to the details. The price distributions for the base model are now appearing on your screen and you can see that we have today's market in blue and the market 1 year ago in orange. And both markets clearly consist out of two sub-markets. One for the higher priced cars and one for the lower priced car. But this difference we already saw in the model year versus price graph which I showed you earlier. Now when we look at the distribution shift, then we can see that this is only very small. The median price decreased by $6,000 from $148,000 to $142,000. However, this decrease is mainly taken at the top end of the market. There you can see that the blue distribution lays more towards the left than the orange one. At the bottom end of the market, prices didn't decrease. If we look then at the mileage distributions, then we can see that also the median mileage increased slightly. The increase was only 2,000 miles. And hence, so far, things are looking quite good for the Audi R8. Mileages went up slightly, but prices didn't seem to decrease in every market segment. Perhaps the R8 prices benefited after all from the strong used car market. Let's dig now a little bit deeper into these price changes and figure out exactly where they are coming from. And we start by looking at this from a model year perspective. First, you can see that market supply decreased from 141 cars to 80 cars, but that this decrease comes from the 2020 cars. If we look then at the prices and we start with model year 2020, then we can see that this is where the prices decreased. Last year, the median price for a 2020 R8 was $194,000 and now it is $181,000. Hence, they decreased on average with $13,000. But this number is a bit misleading, due to the mixture of new and used cars which we have in this model year. If we look at the price difference between the new cars 1 year ago and the used cars today, then we can see that the new cars dropped with $24,000. And this drop is a far more realistic estimate for a new V10. And you can then also see from these blue dots that many cars took a large hit. Moreover, this drop is in line with what was forecasted by the depreciation curve. But what about the other model years? Let's look into those now. For model year 2018, prices decreased by $4,000 and for model year 2017 they increased with $1,000. Yet, for both model years, the changes are not large enough to speak of a significant price change. And this means that the price change can be the result of chance. Hence, we can conclude that for these cars the prices remain stable. Note though that even though they remain stable, for model year 2018 mileage is actually increased slightly. So for a car with the same mileage, you need to pay now more than you had to do 1 year ago. For model year 2017, the median mileage hardly changed. Now if we look at the depreciation curve, then we can see that it's flattened a bit. And the main reason for this is that the cars from model year 2020 decreased in price. So you might think, alright, that's it. Case closed, let's move on to the Plus models. But there's a bit more to the price changes. When I looked at the price changes with the following graph, I saw something strange. You can see here that we have now the mileage on the horizontal axis instead of the model year and that the price is still displayed on the vertical axis. Now when we look at the two markets, you can see that the blue line lays above the orange line for a large part of the market. But this would actually mean that prices went up. So what is going on here? Well, It turns out to be so that many of these high-priced blue bubbles are actually spyders, and those tend to be more expensive. Let me show you by splitting the market by roof type. You can see that the graph is now split between the spyders and the coupes, and that especially the low mileage spyders are priced high. There is indeed also a group of low mileage coupes which is priced high. But there weren't really any cars for sale with this mileage 1 year ago. Alright, we just saw that the values for the base models remained quite stable, with exception of the new cars. And for a car like the Audi R8 V10, this is a very good result. But does this also go for the Plus and the base models? Let's find out. If you, by the way, like this data-driven way of analyzing car markets, please head over to my channel. Over there you will find many more depreciation analysis for a large variety of cars. Now if you can't find the car you're looking for, please comment it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I will make a video about it. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you get actually notified when your requested analysis goes live. And after that administrative message, let's continue the video with the Plus and the performance models, and we take the same approach as what we did with the base models. We will just go a bit quicker. If we start with the price distribution, then we can see approximately the same development as for the base models, meaning that there is a decrease in the median price. However, the decrease is much more severe as the price dropped by $26,000. And that is a lot more than the $6,000 in the base market. Now the main reason for this is that 1 year ago there were more new cars for sale in the performance market. The decrease is then also taken at the top end of the market. Now if we have a quick look at the mileage distribution, then this also becomes clear. Due to the high number of new cars 1 year ago, the median mileage was very close to zero. These new cars gathered now some miles, and the median mileage increased by 2.7 thousand miles. Let's move on now and have a look at the price changes from a model year perspective, because this revealed something interesting. First, you can see that just as for the base models, the depreciation became less steep. However, the depreciation is much more severe as it is still a straight line. It is then also rather high with $23,000 per year. If we look then at the price changes, then we can see indeed that the drop is caused by the cars from model year 2020. Prices over there dropped by $17,000. For model year 2018 and 2017, prices remained stable. And this is especially remarkable if you also take the mileage into account. For both model years, the median mileage namely increased with 4,000 miles, and therefore you are actually getting less value for money as you need to pay the same for a car with a higher mileage. And this we can see beautifully when we look at these price changes from a mileage perspective. So let's do that now. Oh, and let's also split the market immediately by roof type. Now we can see that for the coupes, the blue line lays above the orange one. Hence, for a car with let's say 15,000 miles, it might be so that you need to pay more than you had to do so 6 months ago. It is even so that this shift upwards is statistically confirmed, and therefore it is unlikely to be the result of chance. For the spyder, this is a lot more difficult to say because we have too few observations. Now then, before we close this video, I still want to show you one more thing, and that is how the prices of the current generation relate to the previous generation, which, by the way, also remained very stable over the last year. And if you want to know more about that, then I recommend that you click on the pop-up banner right over here. So, in the graph over here you can see now the full V10 market split by trim level. And you can clearly see that the latest generation is still way more expensive than the previous one. For model year 2014, the premium for a base model compared to 2015 is around $22,000. And this is, for example, way higher than the $7,000 premium between the facelifted and pre-facelifted cars of the previous generation. Now this doesn't mean that the prices for the current generation will fall to the same level as the previous generation. Usually, the cars from the newer generation will always go for a premium compared to the older generation. It is then also so that if you would draw a depreciation curve in here and extrapolate it to the older model years, it would end up above the prices of the previous generations. And on that note, let's wrap up and conclude. So, we saw that prices remain stable for the base and the plus models, and this is quite extraordinary. Car prices usually don't bottom out after 2 years. Look for example what happened to the prices of the previous generation. They for sure didn't bottom out after 2 years. However, it is something what fits in the current trend. Recently, I made a few videos in which I compared the prices now to the ones 1 year ago. And for most used car markets, prices remain stable. And this contrasts to some analysis which I did in the beginning of this whole pandemic. One important reason for the stable prices might then also be the lack of supply of new cars. cars. Now all in all, I think that this makes the Audi R8 V10 very appealing. You get a mid-engine supercar with a naturally aspirated V10 that sounds incredible. And at this price point there are very few cars which can compete with that sound. And with that we also arrive at the end of the video. Now if you enjoyed this video, please remember to support the channel by smashing that like button. As always, a huge thank you for watching and I hope to see you next week for a new analysis.